All right, so let's talk about Ringy for a minute. So for those of you that don't know, Ringy is a dialer and a CRM. I use it. I'm a big proponent of it. There are other dialers out there, so whatever you choose to use, it's completely fine. This should still translate. So a lot of people think that the Ringy and the dialers and the CRMs are just so that you can dial more leads. That is true, but that's not really where its strength really lies. So when I was just doing life insurance, I wasn't doing health. One of the things that I was well known for was taking really old leads that were maybe a year old, 2 years old, and being able to get a hold of the clients and actually being able to set them up with life insurance. Now, the reason for that wasn't because I was special. It had nothing to do with my talent or anything like that. It's just I was efficient in the way that I dialed. And so that's what I'm going to be going through, because if you can get new leads and dial like this, you'll do way better than I did with those old leads. And right now, I'm currently going through a process where I'm going through old leads that are health leads that are free through the HST Lead Master. I'm dialing this way, and I just started this past week, so I don't have results on that yet, but I will in the future. And I'm dialing the exact same way that I did with those old life leads and seeing if the result's the same. And so far, I've been able to get people on the phone. I've set up appointments. I've started some applications. We just need to get more information. And then we're going to see how that pans out over the course of the month. But there's a certain way that you have to dial if you want to use your time efficiently. And so that's what we're going to be covering today. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and then we are going to take a quick look at Ringy. Let me just make sure that I get to Ringy first. All right. Okay, so what we're going to look at first here is the pipeline. So what I did was, the reason there's no leads here is because last time I tried to do a recording like this and put it on YouTube, because it had names and numbers, it blocked it and deleted the video. So what I did was purposely make it so that there's nothing in here. So the way that I set it up, appointment set, custom dial sessions, you can kind of ignore those for right now. But the way that my leads come in is there's new final expense, that's what this is, new health, and then new mortgage. So what happens is when I first put leads in, they go into these buckets, and these are the ones that I'm going to call first and foremost. Now, as I dial, what happens is, depending on how I disposition them, that's when they'll start getting the drip messaging, so that what you want to do is have it so that Ringy is also working for you while you're not dialing, because a lot of those that I actually get in touch with and close are just responding to the text messages that are going out every couple of days. Now, what happens is once they go through here, they go into the retry. So now I'm dialing these again, and I can kind of do it whenever, or I can jump here. So the reason that these are here is because you need to make sure that you're hitting your leads in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. You need to be calling them at different times during the day, because some people you'll only get in the morning, some people you'll only get in the afternoon, and some people you'll only get in the evening. So I include this so that I know that the first time around I dial is usually going to be in the morning. The second time I may hit them is in the morning again. Then I'm going to try them around lunchtime. Then I'm going to try them in the evening, usually after 5 o'clock, to see if I can get those people that are working. And what that does is, if they're seeing you call at different times during the day, they're going to finally eventually say, hey, who is this person? Why are they calling me? What is this about? Now, doing it that way, you'll get a lot more people on the phone. And then, after a while, once it's been in here longer than a month, they'll drop here. But really, you want to get through this in a week's time. You want to call each person 12 times by the end of the week. And that's the goal. And so what I had been doing was getting 25 free leads every single week. That actually worked out pretty well or every single day, excuse me, that worked out well for the first 3 days, but then I wasn't able to keep up and dial as much, because I've also been working on the website, which we'll go through real quickly towards the end here. But you can do that. If that doesn't work, then what I would suggest is getting 25 free leads every other day, so that you have time to call through them the way that you're supposed to, if you're falling behind. Now, what you'll want to do when you look at the way that you disposition in things, if you just want to see how to do that, you can go to account settings, click on manage account, and then you'll have the disposition tag. So what will normally happen when I call, and I'm going to use the just called health one for right now, is I'll call the first time, I'll disposition it as just called health, and then I'll dial 2 more times. Now, what that does is if you go down to the bottom with the automated actions, there is one that's just called health. And when you look at what that does, is it sends out a text message saying, hey, and then my first name, or their first name, excuse me, this is, and then my first name. I just called because you requested info on health insurance. You might still qualify. I'll try it back. What that does is on iPhones, it's going to usually say that, hey, maybe, and then say whatever my name is because I included it in the text. To them too, if I call, and sometimes what will happen is the robocall blockers will block your number first and foremost, but then when you send a text, it'll let you through the second time. And so then I'll call the second time, then I'll call the third time, because sometimes people either don't get to the phone in time, or at the third time, they're like, why is this person calling me back to back? And then once you explain what it is, they're like, oh, okay. And then they'll move forward. If somebody does say something to the effect of like, hey, I don't appreciate you calling all the time. Why are you doing this and that? An easy response is, I apologize that I have to call 3 times, but because of all of the bill collectors and the scammers and the telemarketers, now people aren't answering, but those guys don't call 3 times back to back, but I do because they don't do that. And so that's how I get a hold of people. And are you still interested in it? And just keep going from there. That reply always works for me. They're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then we move on, but you're honestly not going to get that too often. So you update that. Now, what's going to happen next is then you're going to go into the drip marketing and disposition follow-up drips. So now that it's dispositioned as just called health, what's going to happen then is these are all my just called things. So then it's going to start sending messages like a day ago, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 14 days. And at the end, it gives them just a link to my Health Sherpa so that they can go ahead and try to sign up for themselves if that's what they want to do. But really what you want to do is keep trying to contact them over and over again. And that's where the power of Ringy really comes from. It's not that you can just get to the next lead and dial 3 times quickly. That helps, but it's because you're able to organize your leads in a way where you're calling them in a way that's going to be more efficient. And then on top of that, while you're calling them, some people just don't answer their phone like that, and they'll look at their text messages. You're also sending out text, and then I also have emails that go out as well. And that's in another video. We'll cover it at another time. But that's kind of the strength of Ringy in itself. And so, Yvonne, did you have any questions about any of this stuff at all? Or any comments on it? You're still muted. Did you say something? No, you're good?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, good. So that's that basically just breaks down Ringy and the pipeline and how it works. Real quick to go into it just so that you can kind of see how to even create a pipeline for yourself if that's what you want to do. Really all you're doing is just clicking on new stage, and then you name the pipeline, whatever it is. It's going to put a number on it, and this is just a number in this order of all these stages that are down here. I have 42 different stages because I have different things for different things. But if I was going to put number 1 right here, it would show up in front of appointment set. Then you can set the minimum time for when the leads came in, set maximum time when these leads came in, and then you can filter things out here. And so really the way Ringy works is you're not doing anything to the leads themselves. What you're doing is filtering things so that they only show up, only certain leads will show up. So it's kind of like if you've used Excel before or something like that, where you use filter and it filters everything out except specifically what you're looking for. That's what this does. So let's say you have 100 leads and half of them are health leads and half of them are life leads. Well, I can say, okay, well, I only want to see my life leads. So I can do filter by disposition tag and scroll down and click life leads. And so what it's going to do is it's only going to show me the leads that I have in my system that are life leads. So it didn't delete any leads. It didn't change anything. All it's doing is just a window showing me life leads. If I change this and say, okay, well, instead I want health leads, that's what it's going to do. And that's how you set that up. And so if you go into, I think it was in support, and then training, and go through the training, they actually show how to set those things up. So if you haven't already gone through this and gone through each one of these to see what Ringy can do, I strongly suggest you do that. Here's sales pipeline right here. It shows you exactly what to do, what I just went through. That's why I didn't go through it in detail. I'm just explaining the concept because how you do it is already right here. And again, if you want that, lawyer money, you need to be willing to put in the lawyer effort, and they do study after hours. They study constantly. Doctors do the same thing, and we should be doing the same thing. Get better at your craft. So all the information that you need on Ringy is here. We got that covered. All right, so that's all that I'm going to go through for Ringy today. It was just a quick overview so that everybody knows that it's not just about dialing as many leads as you can. The intent is to get people on the phone, to have conversations with them, and to help them get coverage and the coverage that they need. And sometimes I've seen people dial at off times where people aren't home, and they know people aren't home just so that they can say, I did 200 dials, 300 dials, 400 dials. Guys, the important thing to understand is we are insurance agents, we are insurance brokers, we are financial coaches. We are not dialers. Like we don't get paid per dial. That doesn't even make sense. I would argue that if I had my way, I would not want to dial more than 50 times in a day, because I would like to have so many appointments that I can't dial more than that. That's the ultimate goal, is to have so many appointments and to be helping so many families and be in front of so many individuals that you don't have time to dial 200, 300, 400 times. And even when you look at people that dial a lot, because I used to too. I used to dial 200, 300 dials a day on days that I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody. But even when you look at some of the leaders like Amy Jorgensen, yes, there's days where she hits 200, 300 dials. But when you average it all out, because she's on appointments, she's helping families, she's closing business, she's doing all this stuff, she only dials about 50 times per day when it's averaged out. And I'm the same way. There's days where I'll hit 200, 300 dials in a day, especially if I haven't been dialing for a while and I've only been on appointments, and now all my appointments and referrals are done. And now I have to get, the ball rolling again. But after that, the majority of the day should be spent actually talking to people and setting up appointments, not just sitting there dialing, watching YouTube or whatever you do to distract your mind while you're dialing through it. It should be using intent to get people on the phone, and doing that by utilizing the great features that are in Ringy, or whatever CRM and dialer system that you're using, because a lot of them follow the same model where you're able to set up a pipeline and dial things at a certain time, and some of them will automatically dial them for you. So again, if you have questions, what you need to do is get with your success coach, your leader, and what you also want to be doing while you're doing this is tracking your numbers too. I'm really big on tracking. I'll say it probably every video, every training that we do, because there's no way that someone can help you if they don't fully understand what's going on, and if you don't fully understand what's going on. Because if you feel that you're, making so many dials and not getting anyone on the phone, you're not helping any families, it could just be that your activity is not enough. You think that you're dialing a lot, you think that you're working 300, 400 dials and you're only doing 30, 40, 50. Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. Life gets in the way. You have to go take care of kids. There's a lot of things that can happen throughout the day. And knowing your numbers will let you know exactly how you should feel about it. Because if you're only dialing once or twice a week and only dialing for about an hour or two, and you're not getting the results you want, that's the issue. If you are putting in the work and you're still not getting the results that you want, it could be a skill thing. It could be that you're not using the correct leads. It could be that you're not calling at the correct times. There's a lot of things that it could be, but it's hard to diagnose the problem if you don't have the numbers to back up, what you're saying or what you're doing.